The first step is to examine the horse in their stall. From a distance, we noticed no abnormalities. Upon palpating, we found heat in both front heel bulbs and the left hock. There were digital pulses present in the front feet.
Upon inspection, we noticed a sore on the left hock. When walking Jackson out of the stall, we noticed some minor stiffness, possibly due to the cold weather and some stall rest. To begin our wellness exam, we took Jackson's CRT. The CRT was less than 2 seconds.
Jackson's heart rate was 40 beats per minute, which is within normal limits. His respiratory rate was 16 breaths per minute.
Oh wait, you didn't multiply. It was 2, you said?
He had overall healthy gut sounds in all 4 quadrants. His temperature was 100 degrees.
Jackson is shod on all 4 feet. He has pads, straight bar shoes, and copper nails on both front feet, and all 4 feet have toe clips. For his baseline walk on a hard surface, Jackson had some slight plating in the hind end and a slight hip hike on the left side. For his baseline trot test on a hard surface, we noticed that Jackson paddles out on the left front, has a slight left hip hike, and has a slight head nod indicating possible left front lameness.
We noticed upon backing that he had a shortened stride due to possible stiffness. He was slightly toed out in the back. He was also slightly cow-hocked and uneven in his hindquarter muscle. Overall, he tracked evenly on both sides and landed mainly heel to toe. Tapping on the outside of his hooves gave us no reaction, so we do not suspect any hot nails. Although we could not test his front soles due to his pads, we tested his hind feet and there was no reaction on either hoof.
For his front right confident interphalangeal flexion test, we noticed some crossing over of the limbs, but no noticeable head nod. For his front right fetlock flexion test, we noticed that his head went down when landing on the right, indicating front left lameness. For his front right carpal flexion test, we noticed a very noticeable head nod down on the right, indicating again left front lameness, and some plating on the hind limb. For his front right limb on hard ground, we gave his lameness a score of 2 due to his inconsistencies in lameness.
We noticed no abnormalities after doing the coffin and interphalangeal flexion test on his left front. The fetlock flexion test showed us noticeable plating as well as a few noticeable down head bobs on the right, which may have just been due to playing.
He seems fine on that leg. Bit him around.
We did not notice any abnormalities doing the left carpal flexion test. After completing all the flexion tests in the front left limb, we decided to score the limb a 1. There was a noticeable hip hike on the left side after doing the stifle and hock flexion test. The coffin and interphalangeal flexion test showed us swinging in of his hind left leg, a louder landing of the hind right, and a noticeable hip hike on the left, which displayed hind left lameness. There were no real changes after the fetlock flexion test other than the overall hip hike on the hind left. After completing the flexion test in the hind left limb, we decided to give him a score of a 2.
After flexing the coffin and interphalangeal joint of the hind right limb, we noticed some paddling as well as a slight drift to the right, indicating some left hind limb lameness. After flexing his hind right fetlock, we noticed no noticeable change other than the overall hip hike in the hind left.
Impact looks like more level. Like they look more level. Like when he walked first, it was like the left one was really high.
After flexing his hind right stifle and hock joints, we noticed some crossing over and a slight drift to the right, indicating some left hind limb lameness. After completing the flexion tests in the hind right limb, we decided to score him a 1.
There were no obvious abnormalities when we walked him on soft surfaces. When walking in a circle, we noticed that he had a left hip hike. We noticed that there was less fetlock drop in his right front when trotting on soft surfaces. We noticed the left hip hike as well as him swinging out when we were lunging him to the right.
Yeah. I got it.
When lunging to the left, we noticed the strong left hip hike as well as his hind left crossing over and under his body.
This looks good. I don't even.
We decided to give Jackson a score of a 2 due to his consistent inconsistencies of lameness.